would like to invite on stage Mr. Thangapandian from Fuelbrains. Can I request you to please join us on stage? And can we have a round of applause, everyone, please? Let's cheer on for our next speaker. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just trying to bring an overview to the, if I can use the buzzwords of the season or the period. I'm sure everybody has been hearing about green hydrogen, SAF, HVO. So let me try and put a bit of a perspective to the sustainable aviation fuel. I'm sure some of you here have a much better idea, but let me try and bring it to the same sort of a pattern. While the impact of aviation is not great as far as the carbon emission is concerned, you will notice it's hardly 2 to 3% of the total carbon emission. But it's something which is, growing at a very fast pace. Also, the impact of or the intensity of this carbon emission is phenomenal. Just to give you a perspective, an economy class passenger is actually emitting carbon equivalent to a independent limousine travel, or much beyond that. So though he is sitting in that compact seat and then going through a tough flight. That's the intensity of carbon emission. And also what happens is the passengers or the people who are able to use the airlines, the perception is that they can afford to pay more or they can afford to do things which can reduce the impact of carbon. Again, you can do lots of things in the aviation industry to reduce the impact of carbon. A battery-operated aircraft, you can keep thinking about it, talking about it, till such time you are able to get a compact size battery or the power. As of now, it's implemented in the light aircrafts. Or you can think about tinkering with the structure, but the lifespan of an aircraft is 25 to 35 years period. So you can't replace these aircrafts with a lighter module or a lighter structure. There are other options where you can bring in an ordinance saying that any distance less than this cannot be covered by air, but you will have to take the rail or road so that the carbon impact can be lesser. But all these have a lot of, if I can use the word, challenges. So one of the, I'm using the word freely, easy methods is to have a drop-in fuel facility, which is SAF. So that's why everybody is focusing on SAF. Having said that, there is no silver bullet that this is going to be the single sort of an approach which is going to reduce the carbon impact in the aviation sector. SAF is one of the low-hanging, as of today, easily achievable, if I can use the word, solution. As I was mentioning, when you look at the ASIF calculations, you will find the intensity is pretty high in the aviation sector. You have to have something coming in to reduce the impact, and SAF is the easiest solution for that. There are multiple ways you can produce SAF. Let us move forward to see how the whole system has reached where we are today. As we speak, in India, we are talking about CORSIA from the year 26-27 or 27-28, but you'll be very surprised to notice that Europe started looking at it more than a decade back, and as we speak, UK and Europe are already at 2% SAF in their aviation fuel, which is already being implemented in all the aircrafts leaving UK and EU. I think I'll just run through. There are plenty of options, there are plenty of solutions, but the challenge in jet ATF is that it's a very complex molecule. So you have to look at the easiest or the quickest sort of route. So that's where SAF comes into play. The advantage of SAF is that you have multiple feedstock. You can apply it either through co-processing in the refineries, or you have to produce the most expensive way of independent SAF production and then blending it with jet. SAF is basically coming from UCO, used cooking oil, ethanol, and you can say synthetic products. The cheapest, quickest mode is, of course, as we speak, UCO. Multiple pricing levers, shortage of feedstock, complex capex, operating cost is pretty high. With all this, again, you will have to come back to say that, okay, this is my quickest way of reaching what I want to do in the next decade or so. I have to unfortunately give a spoiler here. We are all sitting in the ChiniMandi conference talking about sugar and ethanol. As we speak, ethanol is the most expensive feedstock. I hope and wish that we will find a better and a quicker solution which is going to be much more economical than UCO as we are talking about. As I mentioned, mandates are already in place in UK and Europe. US is already there with incentives, and we are getting into it next year. One of the most positive things India has done is that we are not looking at SAF in its 100% entirety. The refineries are already looking at co-processing with bio feedstock, which will give us the same advantages of SAF blended with jet. So when you co-process the feedstock with a bio feeder in the system. So I have a feeling that the best approach or the most economical approach has been taken by the Indian refiners, and I'm sure that is going to be a positive for our implementation of CORSIA mandates as we move forward in the coming years. Thank you so much.